Good evening and salutations, my Beyond the Gates fans. Let's start off with Jacob and Derek. This was probably like maybe my favorite scene, which is really odd because usually they are two of the most boringest characters, Derek and Ashley, on this show. But I generally did like this scene, and as I explained through reviewing it, you'll kind of see why, or at least you hope you see why. So Jacob finds Derek at Ashley's place. And he's kind of excited. He's like, okay, it's cool. I'm glad that, you decided to work things out or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm just coming to pick up the rest of my things. And Jacob's like, what are we doing? This is a good friend right there. Okay. Jacob is a good friend. This is like the contrary to how Andre is with Ashley. See, Jacob will sit there and be honest with you. And one of the things he was sitting there saying was like, when Derek was sitting there talking about the reasons why they're not working out or the reasons why, they'll probably break up, is because he moved in with her. And everything was smooth sailing until he moved in with her. And it's like, that's the thing. When you're in a relationship, sometimes it's like you kind of have tunnel vision. And sometimes if you're not careful, you wind up slipping. And this is one of the things that Jacob was sitting there saying. It's like, no, it wasn't because you moved in. Is because you changed. You stopped being the person that she fell in love with. You became a slob. You started taking her out to dinner. You started taking her to date nights and stuff like that and showing how much you love her and how special she was. And that's what changed. And this is sort of what Ashley was there hinting at, but not really saying it. And also the thing is, with Ashley's not direct. Naomi is direct. He may not always like what she says or the way she says it or whatever, but he always knows where he stands. And because Ashley is so much of a nice person, she lets things slide. She lets things slide until it starts to bother her, and then she starts spilling over and start getting upset with like dumb shit. Yeah, after a while it starts to add up and you will get annoyed, but like that's the reason. You stop doing the things that made her smile and happy. And he tells her that. He was like, yo, listen, you start becoming a slob and stuff. And that's what I like about Jacob. With Andre is the type of person that'll sit there and tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. And that's what he was sitting there doing with Ashley after Nicole came in and everything like that. He's just like, oh, he doesn't want to lose you and you're the best thing for him and everything like that. And she's like, listen, I got upset over stupid shit. Like, no, you're just being human. I'm like, here we go again. Like, here we go again. But Derek took the advice of Jacob to heart, and he calls her over. They meet up at Orpha Jeans or whatever, and he apologizes, and he's like, listen, I stopped doing the things that made you happy, and then he also was like, I'm gonna move out because we're clearly not ready to sit there and like move out and I mean like move in together and stuff like that. So he's like, I'm gonna move out. We're gonna sit there and do date night, and we're gonna make it work. And she did apologize for the things that she started nitpicking about. Now I'm not a huge fan of Ashley and her nitpicking and all the other BS that she was nit there doing, and I wouldn't have picked her. Not because of her looks or anything like that, but just again, she's so nice that I can sit there and when I'm doing shit that she'll just be bothered about later on and flip it around on me. Oh, I've been with Ashley before, so I know exactly what that's like. Um, but she does admit it and everything like that, and they do work it out and they decide to sit there and stay together, which is good, you know. And it shows, yeah, you sit like you can sit there and have major arguments, but at the end of the day, as long as you're able to sit there and work on them, recognize your mistakes, and try to do better moving forward, I think that's a lot. Um, Leslie, Dana, whatever the hell you want to sit there and call this chick, came over Eva's place. And it's just the usual psychosemantic BS that she sits there and spews. It was nothing new or anything like that. But, Eva was just like, she's living in delusional land. She's like, yeah, I'm upset with Teddy and everything like that. He led me on and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's the one thing that really messed up Ted. And a lot of people tend to do that, right? They use people and they don't realize, like, you play with somebody's emotions, it's no telling what they can do. No telling what kind of what kind of mental health issues that they're going through. Yeah, Leslie looked good, and I could see why he sat there and decided to be with her. She was nice, she was easy, and she was easy on the eyes. But that chick clearly has some issues. Mess with her emotions, and I'm not sitting there giving Leslie a pass for what she's doing. But you know, you got to be careful how you sit there and deal with. Also, she was there with Mona, and she was sitting there trying to make things right with Mona, and Mona was not having it. And I don't know how I feel about Mona and Ashley's mom in a sense because here's the thing: I understand that they don't want to rock with her because, like she said, listen, you take pleasure in other people's misery, and I get that, right? Like you don't want to sit there and hang out with somebody who is essentially a nut job like that. But part of me can't help but think that they don't want to, both of them don't want to run afoul with Nicole. Like, they're in with the good graces of the rich family or whatever, and they don't want to sit there and mess anything up or whatever, so they don't want to sit there and kind of like go against the grain in a sense. Like they're all kind of like bought and paid for in this sense. It's the same thing with the country club. The way they were sitting there treating Haley was absolutely ridiculous, but they didn't want to fall out of the good graces of the Duprees, so they decided to sit there and act like a bunch of childish high schoolers. And in a sense, I feel like they're kind of doing the same thing a little bit, both with Leslie and with Eva. And I'm like, yeah, I could probably be a little more easy on Eva because, I mean, it's clear that Leslie was orchestrating that stuff. Like, yeah, Eva didn't help, right? And she could have did the right thing. And I'm not sitting there saying that they got to sit there and instantly forgive her, but they putting her on the same line as Leslie. I'm like, y'all known Leslie longer than, what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that they interact with Eva. Eva is, I don't know. Like, part of me just, again, feels like they don't want to get out the good graces of the Duprees. So it's like they're standing there like, hey, listen, she tried to sit there and be my friend, but I told her no because, I'm very loyal to the Duprees. Like, I don't know. Conversation it wasn't really that interesting with Naomi and Anita and Vernon who left, came back. I was like, bro, I, I forgot you left. Um, Now, at some point, Anita does spring on, trying to bring the band back together, and she felt like she was kind of blindsided because she was like, "So this is why you call me out here for? Seriously?" Now, I don't know what did Anita do, but whatever she did, Tracy's like, Sharon, I think that's her name. Sharon is not going to forgive you. You can tell she didn't forgive her because, well, she hung up the damn phone on her. So, like, that forgiveness is not coming anytime soon. Well, okay, it probably will because, story and stuff. But whatever she did, it wasn't just the fact that she left. Yeah, I mean, that probably didn't help. But, if it was just her leaving, I don't know if they'll be that angry with her. Not that angry after so many years. So, um, now Andre did sit there and see Nicole. Nicole did come back to the hospital as sort of like, listen, let me sit there and try to not stay in my house, not stay cooped up or whatever. And of course, they run up running into Ted. At some point, they running into Kat. Kat sits there and tells them about the recording. It doesn't really go anywhere because, it's hearsay at best. And Jacob does sit there and kind of fill the family in on, you know, Eva having a alibi. Leslie didn't. And here's my thing about Kat. I feel like, in a sense, it's like Kat kind of wants Eva to be guilty of running Laura off the road. She's not ruling out Leslie, but every time and every almost every sentence, especially with the potassium stuff, and really kind of whoever, you know, in a sense, kind of like drug Laura, she keeps going to Eva first. She'll sit there and talk about Leslie, but she'll go to Eva first, right? I mean, I get that she wants both of them behind bars and everything like that, but it's like she really wants Eva behind bars, and she really is not there trying to, and essentially kind of push for it to be her that ran her off the road. Um, and Nicole is pretty much just like, listen, take care of this family. You brought this chick into our life. You need to sit there and deal with her, right? And Ted's like, yeah, let's not. Well, I'll sit there and talk to Eva, whatever. Nicole seemed like she had a bit of a problem with Ted putting Eva up at a hotel. I'm like, well, what do you want her to stay on the damn streets? Like, and she did sit there. He did sit there and say, listen, I just want to sit there and get her away from Leslie and her influence, which is probably doing little to no good because, again, Leslie did go to the hotel, and she wanted to stay, and Eva was like, no, I got to go to work. Like, you gotta leave. But she puts like a little card in there so this way she can come back upstairs. And she comes back upstairs to sit there and steal stuff in the room. I'm like, all right, so let me get this straight. Not only are you a trash ass mom and pretty much a sociopath, but you also are a kleptomaniac or just a goddamn thief. That's just lovely. But Ted does come in and, they see each other. Also, Jacob is not there wanting to get Nicole to take a look at June and try to help her out, evaluate her. Now, he does sit there and say that she having some memory loss and she has a picture of a child and she doesn't remember, so it's like, maybe you can help with that. I'm like, no, no, no. You can help with that, but you need to help June in general, though, because the reason why she had pneumonia, the reason why she got an infection, is because she left the comfortable hotel that I'm pretty sure that they put her up at because she wanted to go back to living on the street. So she needs that, like, mental advocate, not necessarily just to, jog her memory or anything like that, but to also, you know, really help her out. And she does want a meeting June, and June sits there and tells us, here's the thing. This 5 minute song and dance of her Snither saying, yeah, I was married and I had a kid, and, he left me for his wife, but then his wife died or whatever, and we thought she was dead, but she was in prison. And Nicole's like, mm-hmm, okay. And what did she say? She was like, oh, yeah, I know this story. This is a story that was on Guiding Light. Throwback to when Guiding Light was on CBS. On a side note, during my member stream on Saturday, um, I was looking. We was talking a little bit about like old shows or whatever, and apparently on YouTube, I don't think it goes back that far, but it goes back quite a while for like Guiding Light and Passions. Part of me was sitting there thinking, I was like, what if I actually started doing retro reviews on Guiding Light? You know, like what would that be like? I mean, YouTube has like damn near not every single episode, but they have a hell of a lot of episodes on there, right? At least like a couple of years. And I was like, maybe I could sit there and do that. So I don't know. Just an idea. I would hate to sit there and start it and then like, the overlords of CBS will sit there and just shut that channel down, and I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Um why do I feel like that's about it? Why do I feel like, oh no, that's not it. That's not it. Kat at some point talks to Shanice and it's like, she talks about the night of Laura's potassium level spiking and stuff like that, and being like, did you notice anything off? And of course, Shanice did remember that nurse that she never seen before, that she just had a bad feeling about. What I'm surprised is when she did talk about the nurse, why didn't, and maybe she'll do it tomorrow's episode, but why didn't she sit there and say, did this nurse look like so-and-so? Because she does have a picture of what Leslie looks like. And I'm pretty sure if she shows Denise the picture, she's going to know right off rip. Which also, what there's a point where Ted is not there talking to Nicole, and Shanice is not there doing paperwork. She's like, God damn, girl, you are nosy as shit. You are nosy as hell. God damn, lady. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty much about it. That's the general gist of the episode. I might have missed some stuff here and there. I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to do a live stream tonight because, like, part of me wants to. The other part of me realizes that I do have to wake up at 4 o'clock, and although I would sit there and say, "Oh, listen up, I'll stay for like an hour, I'll stay for like an hour and 20 minutes," that never happens because the minute somebody comes in late, then I feel like, all right, well, let me stay in a few minutes longer. Then somebody else comes in. Let me stay a few minutes longer. Next thing you know, it's like 10:20. I'm like, like, I was supposed to go to bed. I should have been in bed at 9 o'clock, and that just did not happen. So I don't know. I think maybe I'll just sit there and save the stream for tomorrow. Because at least if I do stay up to 10, although I do have to work in the morning at 7, I get out at 11, and I can still sit there and sleep afterwards and still be refreshed and stuff like that. But I would not be able to sleep tomorrow, given the soaps and then given the stream. So I don't know. Most likely, I'll probably sit there and won't do a stream, but I will leave it in the community tab. Okay, this is something that I just want people to know. Always check the community tab because I do post around 8 o'clock. New York time. I always sit there and post around 8 o'clock or close to 8 o'clock and let people know if I'm going to be streaming or not. And so I'll let y'all know tonight. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. Also, for members, I'm sitting there dropping a video. I had another video that I was going to sit there and drop, but of course, that didn't happen because, the overlords of YouTube, pretty much kind of like messed up that video, so I can put that out. But I have I have another members video. I have an idea for another members video. So, anyway, if I don't sit there and do a stream, I'm still going to be working on stuff as well. Plus, I kind of do want to watch Paradise, but it's more because I do got to wake up early in the morning. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.